Hey everyone, this is Lale Hancock, and I am here with one of my friends, Jelena Vuksanovic,
Yes.
also known as Andromeda. Hi!
Hi. Hi, Lala.
Hi! Today is the continuation of conversations with unique people around the world. And one of the things that I love about Jelena was that I met her as someone who jumped in to translate one of my events for me. And then I discovered she's actually a freelance writer. She's a screenwriter and has her own movie that she's directed. So I was like, oh my goodness, she's exactly what we require to share this gift of truly having joy in your life and in your business. So I'd like to introduce her to you. So, Jelena, you live in Serbia now, but
Yes.
maybe tell us a little bit more about you and kind of like this whole world of this film. Like, how did all this come about?
Wow. Well, that's like a big story.
Yeah,
But
like, like
yeah,
this, but like,
like a short taste would be that when I was a teenager, I really liked to write. And then I discovered that there is actually a university where you can learn to write. And this is how my passion for the movies actually escalated. So, but to be honest, like most of my life, I was working in a theater, and I'm really like, I was doing all sorts of stuff. And this movie that came up, my first movie that I co-wrote with the director of the movie, we went to Cannes Film Festival, and that was really like a super amazing experience to go to the festivals and to experience, this other side of the industry and stuff like that. And so I'm still kind of a like in between 100 different stuff, and like discovering access consciousness really helped me to kind of a look to this what people call art, and like writing is quite peculiar like profession to do, that to really look at it also as a business. And just before we started to talk about this, and this is quite interesting perspective to what I do actually, because I really tried many different stuff in my life. And somehow I always go back to writing, and to this kind of like to see something produced really makes me super happy. And to go back to something that I made maybe 2 years ago, and still to be like amazed, and to be like, did I really write these words? Is this really like mine? Is this possible? Like, this is really a miracle. So it's quite exciting to be part of something like this. I'm really grateful that I can have like life like that. And but I still explore with the possibilities. It's like super exciting.
well, what's interesting is like most of us think like business, it's like this very serious thing that brings you money so that you could pay your bills, but actually it's the business of your life. So what are those things that make your heart sing, or like listening to you when you talk about writing, like your whole body and like there's this energy in you, like that's really what business is about, is bringing those moments out and also allowing it to fund different aspects of your life, the things that you'd like to add to it. So I know you kind of brushed through this very quickly. You're like, yeah, I'm a writer. I went to school for this. And yeah, I was in the Cannes Festival, but no, baby, like it took a lot of work. So I want to know more. I want to know like if you could just share with the audience of like that moment where you knew what you were writing was different, and then like kind of what inspired you to even take it to that step that it could even be at the Cannes Festival.
Well, I worked with amazing director, and he's really like a weirdo like myself. So we we really got along really well. And this is quite interesting because we were really struggling to make a structures that are not really familiar. And to be honest, even if we were at the Cannes Film Festival, we got a lot of reviews that were absolutely not understanding what we were trying to do there. And I remember we were in a hotel room, like reading this like Hollywood reporter about our movie, and we were like desperate, you know, because it was awful. And we were like, they didn't get anything, fuck, you know. And so, yeah, I mean, the first time, and I also said to this director when I realized that we really did the right thing, was when we were together in Korea on a film festival in Busan, and then we had Q&A with the audience, and the audience asked all the deep questions that we actually wanted to transmit to the audience, but until that point we didn't had any kind of a feedback like that, and so we were not really sure if we, you know, succeeded. For ourselves we did, but this was the first moment that we had this like acknowledgement, like, oh, what we did is actually possible to read through. And so it's always this, you know, like maybe I feel something and maybe I want to experiment and not to go through this linear dramaturgy, but then do people understand it? Will people support it? And it's always kind of this struggle, also like inner struggle, you know, with the patterns. And because when you write, it's like you want to have something in a certain way, and then the idea pops up and like, but this is obvious. I don't want to be obvious. I want to do it in my way. So it's discovering what is my way. And I guess like, because I've been also on your last class about the business, and it's what you say about the business too, is like how you find your own way, how you do it. If everybody else do it in a different way, you have to like, you know, grab it and do it the way you feel and want to do it. So yeah, something like this, it's always a journey. It's always a process, and it's like super exciting.
Yeah. And you know, it's funny because like for me and business, it's always been this excitement and enthusiasm. Like I love playing with the energies of it. I didn't know back then that that's what I liked. You know what I mean? I just
Yeah.
love to grow businesses. And I told you I've been doing it since I was a little kid, you know?
Yeah.
And but what I see now in businesses is that, you know, there is this whole new world that's available to us that was never there before. And if we're willing to include the consciousness of the business, like how much more things expand and grow. And for you, you know, like writing, it's like you have these different ideas that come, different awarenesses, these different energies that are playing with you because the story of how it wants to come out to be shared. And
Yes.
it's like if we are willing to, you know, go beyond the judgments, like you're gonna have people who are gonna scrutinize you no matter what. You're never gonna have it that you have everyone happy, but not to let someone else's opinion stop you from carrying whatever that is, that project forward. That's the key to all of this, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm glad, like, you know, I don't know, in the movie industry, they say if someone hated it, you did well, you succeeded. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you hear that all the time. So I love that you're like, yeah, you know, the in Cannes Festival, some liked it, some had plenty of criticism, you know,
Yeah.
and then you go to like Korea, like
Yeah.
in Korea, you're gonna get all of what you were hoping for. You know?
We were like, this is one smart audience, you know? So
But
yeah.
look at how much. Okay, I want to know, like, receiving positive feedback, receiving negative feedback, which is never really negative. You know, it's just, this is all feedback. It's just someone's opinion. If we don't make it significant, it's just an opinion. Like, what else did you change, or what did it stimulate or influence in you when you heard the different feedbacks, you know, and what did it mold for you, you know? Because they're all there to give you a different experience anyway.
Well, this is like what you said just now is super interesting for me, because this is a perspective that I got from the access consciousness, really to like kind of a, you know, like to embrace negative and like what we say, it's negative or positive, because at the end it's all energy. And like, you know, all of this about the judgments and stuff. Like I can say that I work on it now, but before I didn't take it too well, you know. But it was like, for me, like this particular moment, like I just that we put certain effort, and we really, this particular screenplay, and I can say for other projects that I did, like this opera that I did 2 years ago, I wrote text for 6 months. Not that I was writing for 6 months, but I was exploring and researching and then sitting and editing. And so at the end, we had something that I'm so proud of right now, you know, and like still, even 2 years ago, 2 years after, I'm still excited to hear, and I'm like, ooh, having goosebumps. And so this all comes from this point that I'm happy with something, and I have this actually privilege to work on it until I'm absolutely sure that this is it. This is what I want to bring out. And it's not always easy to just like, you know, put it out there. But then when it's out, then I'm like completely there, and I don't care what are you going to say, like this is disturbing or this is like this or that, because I know what was the purpose of it, and I can see how it works. And yeah, different people, different energy, it influences on the different ways. And so this is how I more see it now. And sometimes because it's like very vulnerable place when you write something and then somebody's giving you some negative comments, or somebody wants to influence your vision and to influence how you want to see the things. So this is where you start to be like, okay, this is what I had in my last piece. I was just, how can I use this, like to really, like not to take it as some personal attack, or, you know, okay, I'm vulnerable, I'm really getting annoyed, I want to kill somebody, but like, how can I pretend that I will do everything they say and still do my shit, you know, like, so it's like this kind of being more aware how we can deal with it and be a little bit more like swimming around. This is something that I'm really grateful that I really learned through these different types of classes. And this is something that is really like, you know, like it comes from this also approach that if this is a business, okay, what's the best for my business? I guess it's the best to be the way I want it to be. So how can I do this? You know, like,
And it's interesting, like, you know, I was going to ask you, you know, for the listeners, like, what would you recommend as, hey, when you are getting feedback for your work and it's not what you expected, right? What if it is something that's a little more negative, or maybe they're trying to alter what you're actually trying to put out there? Like, how would you deal with that? Which you kind of pretty much answered, but if there's something else you want to share. Yeah.
there is something that it's like sometimes it's the matter of like this like ego that of course all of us we have. And it's like if you are really putting your, I don't know, your whole being or the ideas that are coming to you and you put it on a paper, it starts to be very like intimate. And this intimacy is, you know, you can suppose how vulnerable it is. But then when somebody gives you a comment, you can really recognize from which place it is coming. You can recognize the energy. Is this constructive, or this is like not constructive? Is this coming from the wishes of the people, or it's coming from something like that can really build up your own story? And unfortunately, like most of the people are reading from this place where they see it how they would like it to be, and not like to go into your perspective and give you, you know, the comments how you can make it better. But knowing this, in my opinion, you can like go into their shoes and see how they structured these comments and then apply it to your own point of view. So basically you try to be as constructive as possible and use only this constructive energy to kind of build up more. So this is something what I try to do.
Yeah. And I think one of the things you mentioned, which I would say is like, never give up on who you are and your own vision, you know, and your own way of doing it. Because you are going to get skeptics. You're going to get people who want it done their way instead of your way. And sometimes you do have to alter depending on who your audience is and who is going to be paying your bills, right?
Yeah.
But I would say, it was just so nice to listen to that, though. It is like, never give up you
Yeah.
based on the judgments. And I see that all the time. And I know personally, I've experienced it, in business and in my personal life. But when we're willing to still be us in it, knowing, hey, you know what, there's going to be differences of opinions, then you can allow those things that will assist you in altering it to even greater, to actually be there instead of going into defense mode or going into like, now I can't do this, and really stop yourself.
Mm. Is this something that relates to this kind of a like following where the business is taking you? Did I understand this well? Is this something that, okay. Yeah, I'm just like trying to, because I really love how you're describing the business stuff. So like, I'm taking it in.
So
yeah.
here's the deal, okay? Like with you, like I was asking, does your business for the film industry actually have its own name, right? Because a lot of times we say my business, but each actual business came alive because there was this energy, there was this consciousness of something that played with you, you got excited about, and you're like, you know what, I want to start a business. But it usually is not your name. It could be if your name is blah 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 business, but you want to actually acknowledge it as the business, and it has a name. Give it its name. Or the project, like you were talking about, this particular film was called what?
It was called Panama. Yeah,
it was called Panama. So Panama is its own, like energetic form. It really was this consciousness that wanted to come alive with you, with this other director, and with your energy and its energy. It actually had life. It was like, and being able to go out into the world. And when we look at, okay, what is it that this thing would like to be, whether it's a business or whatever, like not from the limiting that that's all it wants to be, but when you start to actually get some energy of what it wants to be and putting it out there, to still keep it going with whatever's coming at you. If someone's throwing negativity at you, or someone says you can never do this, you'll never succeed,
like, this is awesome.
But it's the connecting to that consciousness of that business or that project or whatever every day, and letting go your own expectations. Where I see projects fail and where I see businesses fail is when people try to take over and do everything and no longer include the business or the project for ideas or for inspiration or for anything else. Like they've defined it so much that that definition takes out that consciousness actually out of it. And then it becomes boring or not fun anymore. You don't want to do it anymore. But when you actually include the consciousness of it and just be like, hey, business, what would you like to do today? Where would you like to go? It sounds crazy, but you do.
No, but I really like it. I feel, what can this do? Because like for every other project that I do, I have a certain name, like balance, like, dancing for the gods, like kafana, like, for each project I have name, and they're ongoing, and there's always something happening around it, and like for this, like my business of life, I would say with my writing, I don't have a name. I mean, somehow Andromeda is the name, but I think either I make it official, it's Andromeda company or something. I just feel a lot of energy there to really make it like an entity, and to like ask it every day, what do you like require? This is like really good thing that you said.
Yeah, and you don't have to legally incorporate it to connect to it every day, but you got to find what would you like what would you like to create with this as a business. If it's a hobby that really doesn't desire its own entity, like status, then you don't have to. But if it would actually expand, so this is where I would go back and say, instead of doing it from your head, are you willing to actually ask this project, what would you like to be? Would you like to be a business? Would you like to be part of something else? And even if it has the same name as you, refer to it not as my business, but as blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This
You
is
know?
what I feel. It's so, yeah,
Yeah,
potential.
because you also honor it.
Yes.
And you allow it to gift to you, you know, and you allow it to also spread its wings of energies and go get you clients, people, money, like resources. Like, it's so funny how things come together if you allow it.
That's all. Yeah, I really like it. I feel this is like full of space. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's great.
Yeah. So, you know, we're done. We're almost done. So I just have one more question here. You know,
Okay.
one, what is the new project you're working on that maybe you can share, or maybe it's unshareable yet, but maybe you can give some teaser moments of it to people?
Yeah, some of it it's unshareable, but my next really project that I'm really looking forward to is like one festival in Stuttgart. And I'll be working with 3 more artists, and we'll be staying in this amazing castle in Schloss Solitude. And so we will be working there most of the time. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Oh,
And this is not so much connected to writing, but to my like this interactive theater that I also practice. So I am really like looking forward to this madness. I hope we will be able to travel in July and just, you know, be kind of free to produce something.
well, you've got us intrigued. We want you to come out again and
Yeah.
tell us how it all went. And,
Yeah.
you know, but
Yeah.
notice, like, when you talked about it, like, you were laughing, you were relaxed, there was this expansive energy. Like, this is the generative creative energy that actually allows our businesses to grow.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's actually for me quite important to acknowledge it, because like I have this every day. I get excited and then I have more boring stuff to do, like organizing, blah, 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 sending emails. But when I'm actually thinking about this, I'm like whole butterflies like all over the place, you know, like.
Well, it sounds like you need to add more people to this business
Yeah.
who have those butterflies when they send the emails, because you have
Yeah.
people like that in the world, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you so much, Lale, for doing this. And I told you, like, whatever you ask me, I really feel like contribution, and then it's like expanding something in my space. And the classes that I attended were so, I listened to Conscious Vagina again and again. And so I'm like, my world is like just exploding again, expanding. So I'm really grateful for that I kind of accidentally bumped into you and came to your class. So that's amazing.
That is amazing. Well, thank you. Very,
Thank
very
you.
grateful for that. But so where can people find you? Like, if they want to play and like explore what you've got going on, or follow some of these cool projects, like, where can they go to find you?
Well, most of the stuff I just like put on my website, sometimes on the YouTube. So my website is www.andromedavuksanovic.com, but I can write it to you later. And yeah, most of the stuff I just like add on my website. And I have also Facebook, but I don't post much.
Now you know.
Yeah.
We'll have it in here in this YouTube, in the descriptions. You guys will have it, so you can just have it at a click and be able to play with her some more and see all these fun new projects. I don't know. I just have a feeling your businesses are going to be talking very differently with you moving forward.
That's awesome. Okay, thank you so
Love
much,
it.
Ellen.
Thank you, everyone. All
Thank
right.
you.
See you soon. And remember, click subscribe so that you can see some of these amazing people from all around the world and their experiences. Bye, guys.
Bye.